Welcome back, everybody. This is your final question on the minimum requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Of course, you have that lesson on the points system right after this. But this is going to be your final question with regard to those minimum requirements, and this one's going to focus specifically on the area of education in the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So let's jump into your question. This question is about Evan. So Evan is interested in immigrating to Canada under the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and he's already taken the first step of making an express entry profile. He has also been promoting himself through the Canadian Job Bank, but has not received an offer of employment yet. He meets with Dr. Franken, an RCIC based out of Germany, to help him with some questions he has regarding the process and his chance of immigrating. He explains that he has 15 years of experience working as an office administrator for a legal firm and recently applied to have his high school diploma verified as being at a Canadian equivalent through an ECA. He speaks English fluently and, if selected, will be joined by his wife Gilda, who is an engineer. Gilda speaks English at an intermediate level and holds a bachelor's degree in her subject, but only has 9 months of work experience. So they would like Evan to be the main applicant. Dr. Franken asks the couple to take their IELTS exams immediately and takes a look at the ECA report, which came back negative. What is Dr. Franken likely to advise? Now we have our potential answers. So we have A, Evan does not meet the requirements of any stream at this time. B, Evan meets the requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker class and should proceed with the next step of moving into the pool of qualified candidates. C, Evan does not initially meet the requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker class, but with his wife included in the application, he would meet the minimum requirements. And D, Gilda would be a better candidate to receive an ITA under the Federal Skilled Worker Program and should be the main applicant. So as always, you can go ahead and pause right now and try to get the answer yourself, and then we'll come back once you press play again. So let's dig into those important parts of this that probably jumped out at you. With Evan, we had him as interested in immigrating under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Then we have some parts that aren't really that important, and then we move into those details of his experience and language, etc. And of course those details of his wife as well. And then finally that negative ECA. Then, of course, as we break this down a little bit more, we have his intent. So he's interested in immigrating under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. We have that experience. So 15 years of experience as an office administrator. We have some of those other qualifications. So with this, we have his language ability and his high school. Then we have his wife. So she speaks English at an intermediate level, has a bachelor's degree and 9 months of work experience. Then we have that detail there that the ECA came back negative. So of course, as we jump back into this and see the question as a whole, it's really important for us to take a look at the answers, of course, in helping us choose the correct answer. So let's start at the bottom. We'll start with D. Now D says, Gilda would be a better candidate to receive an ITA under the Federal Skilled Worker Program and should be the main applicant. We have all those details of Gilda as well. So she's an engineer, speaks English at an intermediate level, has that bachelor's degree, and 9 months of work experience. So let's compare that to those requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So you can see right away with this one that she does not meet that 1 continuous year because her work experience has only been for 9 months. We have the language there. Her school, her education would qualify. The points, we don't really know because she doesn't qualify. She doesn't meet the minimum requirements, so she wouldn't even get a points assessment. So with that, we can see that D is incorrect. And we can move up again. Let's move up to C and see if that is the correct answer. So for C, we have Evan does not initially meet the requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker class, but with his wife included in the application, he would meet the minimum requirements. Now let's take a look here. So remember those minimum requirements for the Federal Skilled Worker Program are, of course, that he needs to have performed 1 continuous year of NOC OAB experience, needs the language, he needs that education, and those points, of course. When we take a look at his details, we can see that, yes, he does have that 15 years of experience as an office administrator. And just from your general knowledge, you would probably know that an office administrator would be a NOC A position, possibly NOC O. His English is fluent. He speaks English fluently. We have the high school diploma that came back, where the ECA report came back negative. Now, that little tidbit there, that's the key to the whole question, is that the ECA report came back negative. And we'll go into detail on this. So if you remember from the previous lesson we saw with this that there is a minimum requirement in the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and that is a minimum educational requirement. So the person needs to have, at a very minimum, a high school diploma. Now that high school diploma, if you remember, has to be Canadian. But if it's not, if it's an international high school diploma, that's fine. But remember that the person would have to get an ECA. Now that ECA would have to come back and verify that the diploma this person received in another country is equivalent to a Canadian diploma. And in this case, it did not. So that's why he wouldn't meet those minimum requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So with this we could see that C is definitely incorrect, and by knowing that C is incorrect, it helps us with B as well, but we'll take a look at it anyways. So for B, we have Evan meets the requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker class and should proceed with the next step of moving into the pool of qualified candidates. So as we saw when we analyzed C, this is definitely not the case. He does not meet those minimum requirements of this stream. He certainly meets those requirements in terms of work experience. He meets those language requirements as well, but definitely doesn't meet the education requirements. So that shows us that B is incorrect. Now we're left with A, and even A can be a little bit tricky because A says he does not meet the requirements of any stream at this time. So let's explore this one here. Now with his information over here, we could get an idea if he would qualify for one of those other streams under the express entry procedure. Now for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, as we saw, he does not meet those education requirements. And as you know, if you worked through the Canadian Experience class in the Federal Skilled Trades lessons, you know that he definitely doesn't meet the experience requirements in terms of the Federal Skilled Trades Program, and of course does not meet those requirements, those same requirements in terms of experience under the Canadian Experience class. So that means that this answer is correct. So if you chose A, then a big congratulations again. That shows that you definitely understand the educational aspects of the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And this will definitely help you in your ICCRC Full Skills Exam. All right, so that concludes your third sample question. I hope you got them all correct. Even if you didn't, though, it's really great just to learn from taking a look at these sample questions and seeing why you are correct or incorrect. All right, well, a big thank you for tuning in, and we'll have a big chit-chat when you take your next lesson, of course. Have a super great day.